Water is often the most overlooked nutrient when it comes to maintaining health, especially after the age of 60. Many older adults do not feel the same level of thirst they once did in their younger years, which leads them to believe their bodies require less water. In reality, the body still relies heavily on proper hydration to carry out countless essential processes, and one of the areas that suffers most from poor hydration is the urinary system and the prostate. When the body is even slightly dehydrated, the blood becomes more concentrated, which makes it harder to transport oxygen and nutrients to different tissues. For the prostate, which depends on consistent circulation and nourishment, this reduced efficiency can create stress and gradually weaken its overall function. One of the main roles of water is to help the kidneys and urinary tract flush out waste products. Without sufficient water, waste becomes more concentrated, increasing the burden on both the bladder and the prostate. Over time, this added strain can lead to irritation and discomfort. It's similar to running an engine without enough oil. Friction builds, systems become less efficient, and eventually breakdown occurs. Hydration provides the lubrication that keeps the urinary system running smoothly. When older men consistently neglect proper fluid intake, this creates a chain reaction where the prostate is indirectly affected by poor waste removal, sluggish circulation, and increased inflammation. Another aspect of hydration is its influence on the immune system. Adequate water intake supports lymphatic flow, which carries immune cells throughout the body. If hydration is poor, the lymphatic system works less effectively, allowing more inflammatory processes to take hold. For the prostate, this means it may be left more vulnerable to irritation and cellular stress. A hydrated body is better equipped to fight off internal stressors, while dehydration leaves tissues more exposed. Additionally, staying hydrated directly impacts blood flow. Water helps maintain the volume of plasma in the blood, which determines how effectively oxygen and nutrients are delivered to organs. As men age, circulation naturally slows, and dehydration makes this decline even more severe. When circulation is impaired, the prostate receives less nourishment and reduced oxygen levels, both of which are vital for maintaining tissue health. Over years of poor hydration, this lack of support can accumulate into significant functional decline. Many men also underestimate how dehydration affects hormone balance. Hormones are transported in the bloodstream, and when fluids are low, these processes become less efficient. Balanced hormone activity is important for the prostate, and dehydration disrupts this delicate equilibrium. What might feel like something small, skipping glasses of water throughout the day, can gradually translate into noticeable long-term challenges. The simple habit of reaching for more water instead of sugary drinks, excess coffee, or alcohol makes a dramatic difference. Drinks like coffee and alcohol, although enjoyable, tend to have a diuretic effect, meaning they actually encourage the body to lose more fluid. Overconsumption of these beverages without replacing them with clean water accelerates dehydration, creating an even bigger burden for the prostate and urinary system. This is why water should always be the main fluid source. Hydration also helps regulate body temperature and reduce the overall stress load placed on organs. When the body overheats due to lack of fluids, it works harder to cool down, which diverts resources from other essential systems. Older adults are particularly vulnerable to this because their bodies do not adjust to temperature changes as efficiently as younger individuals. For the prostate, which thrives in an environment of steady circulation and minimal inflammation, The ripple effect of dehydration adds to long-term stress. Aging itself cannot be avoided, but poor hydration is one factor entirely within a person's control. By simply being mindful of fluid intake and drinking water consistently throughout the day, men can greatly reduce unnecessary stress on the prostate. Even mild dehydration, when repeated daily for years, compounds into larger health challenges. On the other hand, consistent hydration becomes a protective factor that supports the urinary system, reduces irritation, and helps maintain healthy prostate function well into later years. Diet plays one of the most powerful roles in overall health, and for men over 60, what goes on the plate each day can either support or slowly damage the prostate. One of the most damaging habits is the regular consumption of processed foods and unhealthy fats. These foods are often high in artificial additives, preservatives, refined sugars, and trans fats, all of which trigger inflammation in the body. Inflammation is the body's defense mechanism designed to fight off short-term threats, but when it becomes chronic due to poor dietary habits, it silently wears down organs, including the prostate. This ongoing irritation doesn't always show immediate symptoms, but over years of repeating the same eating patterns, the damage becomes significant. Processed foods are designed for convenience and taste, but they often come at the cost of nutrition. Take, for example, packaged snacks, fast food meals, and fried items. These are typically stripped of their natural nutrients and loaded with unhealthy oils that the body struggles to process. When consumed daily, they flood the system with compounds that promote oxidative stress. This stress leads to cellular damage, which is particularly harmful for sensitive tissues like those in the prostate. The body has to work harder to repair itself, and the constant demand wears down its ability to keep the prostate functioning optimally. Unhealthy fats are another major culprit. Trans fats, commonly found in fried foods, margarine, and processed baked goods, are known to increase levels of bad cholesterol while lowering good cholesterol. This imbalance clogs blood vessels and reduces circulation, which directly impacts the delivery of oxygen and nutrients to the prostate. Without strong blood flow, tissues weaken over time. Furthermore, these fats stimulate the release of inflammatory chemicals in the body, compounding the problem of chronic irritation. Even saturated fats, when consumed excessively from heavily processed meats, put unnecessary strain on the prostate. While the body needs healthy fats from sources like olive oil, avocados, and nuts, the overconsumption of poor quality fats does the opposite, fueling decline. Refined sugars found in processed foods also play a major role in inflammation. Every time blood sugar spikes due to high sugar meals or snacks, the body responds by releasing insulin. Over time, frequent spikes lead to insulin resistance, which fuels systemic inflammation. The prostate, being highly sensitive to changes in circulation and hormonal balance, is directly affected by these inflammatory cascades. Men who regularly indulge in sweets, sodas, and packaged desserts unknowingly create an environment where the prostate is constantly under stress, reducing its resilience with age. One often overlooked factor is the presence of preservatives and additives in processed foods. Many of these chemicals are foreign to the body and are treated as irritants by the immune system. The repeated exposure to these compounds triggers low-grade inflammation, which slowly accumulates in tissues. The prostate, already prone to changes after 60, becomes another area where this irritation shows its effects. By continually eating processed items filled with artificial ingredients, men essentially feed inflammation rather than fighting it. On the other hand, natural foods provide compounds that protect the prostate. Fresh vegetables and fruits are packed with antioxidants that neutralize oxidative stress. Whole grains supply fiber, which helps regulate blood sugar and improve digestion, reducing the burden on the body's systems. Lean proteins, such as fish and poultry, provide the building blocks for repair without the heavy load of saturated fats. When compared side by side, the difference is striking. Processed foods increase inflammation and accelerate decline, while whole foods reduce stress and promote healing. The choice between the two shapes the long-term health of the prostate more than many people realize. The reality is that processed foods are easy, cheap, and widely available, which is why so many people fall into the habit of consuming them daily. However, the long-term cost is much greater than the short-term convenience. Every fried meal, sugary drink, or packaged snack adds to the inflammatory load, and while the effects may not be noticeable immediately, the accumulation over months and years quietly chips away at prostate health. Choosing whole, nutrient-rich foods is not just about staying slim or having energy. It is about giving vital organs the nourishment they need to stay strong. Movement is one of the most fundamental requirements for the human body, yet it is one of the most neglected habits among men over 60. Modern lifestyles often encourage sitting for long hours, whether in front of a television, behind a desk, or simply due to reduced energy levels that come with age. While rest is important, excessive inactivity creates serious consequences, especially for circulation, overall strength, and the health of the prostate. The body is designed for motion, and when motion is restricted, circulation slows down. This means less oxygen and fewer nutrients reach the organs, and waste products are removed less efficiently. For the prostate, which depends on consistent blood flow to maintain healthy tissue, the lack of circulation becomes a hidden threat. When daily movement decreases, muscles in the lower body become weaker, and this weakness contributes to slower blood return to the heart. The muscles act as pumps that assist circulation, particularly in the legs and pelvic region. Without regular walking or light exercise, blood tends to pool and oxygen delivery becomes compromised. This sluggish circulation creates conditions where the prostate receives less of what it needs to remain healthy. In addition, reduced activity often results in stiffness in the lower back and hips, which can further restrict flow to the pelvic area. Over time, this combination of poor circulation and stiffness places unnecessary stress on the prostate. Beyond circulation, daily movement plays an important role in managing weight. Excess body weight, particularly around the abdomen, places more pressure on the pelvic organs. Men who do not stay active are more likely to develop weight gain, which adds another layer of burden on the prostate. Even a few extra pounds can make a difference, as fat tissue produces inflammatory compounds that circulate throughout the body. These compounds fuel irritation and make the prostate more vulnerable to long-term issues. Regular movement, even in small amounts, helps burn calories, regulate metabolism, and keep this extra pressure under control. Lack of movement also affects hormone balance. Physical activity supports the regulation of hormones that play critical roles in tissue repair and overall wellness. When men stop moving regularly, the natural balance of these hormones shifts, which can disrupt the body's ability to repair and maintain the prostate. Exercise encourages the release of endorphins and reduces stress hormones like cortisol. Without this balancing effect, stress levels rise, which indirectly increases inflammation and worsens prostate health. The simple act of walking, stretching, or doing light resistance exercises can help restore harmony to the body's hormonal system. Another consequence of inactivity is the decline of cardiovascular fitness. The heart, like any muscle, grows weaker when not challenged. A weaker heart pumps blood less efficiently, meaning that circulation to peripheral tissues, including the prostate, is reduced. This subtle but steady decline builds up over years, leaving older men more vulnerable to problems. On the other hand, regular movement strengthens the heart and improves circulation, ensuring that the prostate continues receiving an adequate supply of oxygen and nutrients. Daily movement is not only about protecting the prostate, it also supports digestion and the elimination of toxins. A sedentary lifestyle often slows down bowel movements, creating pressure and discomfort in the pelvic region. This pressure can irritate the prostate and bladder, adding to the strain caused by poor circulation. Gentle activities like walking after meals improve digestion, reduce bloating, and relieve this unnecessary pressure. The improvement may seem small on a day-to-day basis, but when carried out consistently, it creates a healthier environment for the prostate. One of the most damaging myths is that exercise must be intense or exhausting to be beneficial. For men over 60, the opposite is often true. Even light activity such as gardening, stretching, yoga, or a brisk walk can dramatically improve circulation, support weight control, and reduce inflammation. These small but consistent movements accumulate into major benefits for the prostate over time. Avoiding movement altogether, however, allows circulation to weaken, inflammation to rise, and tissues to slowly decline in strength. The difference between taking a daily walk and sitting for hours is not just about comfort today. It is about protecting long-term health and independence. Sleep is one of the most powerful natural medicines the body has, yet it is often treated as optional. Many men over 60 develop irregular sleep patterns, whether due to lifestyle habits, stress, or simply the aging process, and they underestimate how much this lack of rest impacts overall health. The body relies on deep, consistent sleep to repair tissues, balance hormones, and regulate essential functions. When sleep is neglected, it sets off a chain reaction of problems that reach every organ, including the prostate. While a single night of poor rest may not seem harmful, years of interrupted or insufficient sleep weaken the systems that protect long-term wellness. During sleep, the body enters repair mode, cells regenerate, damaged tissues are restored, and the immune system strengthens its defenses. Without this nightly restoration, the body begins each new day at a disadvantage. For the prostate, which is particularly sensitive to changes in circulation and inflammation, poor sleep adds to its burden. Sleep deprivation raises stress hormones like cortisol, which not only interfere with healing, but also increase inflammatory responses throughout the body. This chronic state of stress creates an environment where the prostate is more likely to experience irritation and dysfunction over time. Another critical role of sleep is its influence on hormone balance. Hormones regulate everything from metabolism to tissue growth and repair, and their cycles depend heavily on deep rest. For example, melatonin, the hormone that helps regulate the sleep-wake cycle, also acts as a powerful antioxidant that protects cells from damage. When sleep patterns are irregular, melatonin production is disrupted, leaving tissues like the prostate more vulnerable to oxidative stress. Similarly, growth hormone, which plays a key role in cellular repair, is released in larger amounts during deep sleep. Without consistent rest, this vital repair process is limited, slowing down the body's ability to recover and stay resilient. Poor sleep also has a direct effect on circulation. Studies show that sleep deprivation increases blood pressure and reduces vascular flexibility, making it harder for blood to flow smoothly through the body. Reduced circulation means less oxygen and fewer nutrients reach the prostate. Over time, this lack of nourishment contributes to tissue weakness and increases the risk of chronic irritation. On the other hand, restful sleep helps relax blood vessels and promotes strong, steady circulation, which benefits every organ system. Weight regulation is another area closely tied to sleep quality. When people do not sleep enough, the body produces higher levels of ghrelin, the hormone that stimulates appetite, while lowering levels of leptin, the hormone that signals fullness. This imbalance leads to overeating, especially of sugary or fatty foods, which increases weight gain. Excess body weight, particularly around the abdomen, puts more pressure on the pelvic organs, including the prostate. Therefore, poor sleep not only disrupts internal balance, but also indirectly adds physical strain through weight gain and inflammation fueled by poor dietary choices. Cognitive function is equally affected by sleep loss, and this has indirect consequences on health behaviors. Men who are sleep deprived are more likely to feel fatigued, unmotivated, and less inclined to stay active or make healthy food choices. This lack of energy and discipline reinforces a cycle where poor sleep leads to poor lifestyle habits, which then worsens sleep quality. The prostate ends up caught in the middle of this negative loop, suffering the consequences of both direct and indirect effects of inadequate rest. The environment in which one sleeps also plays a big role in determining quality. Many older adults keep televisions or bright screens on late into the night, exposing themselves to blue light that disrupts melatonin production. Others maintain irregular bedtimes, confusing the body's natural circadian rhythm. Even factors such as room temperature, noise, and late night eating can interfere with reaching restorative sleep. Simple adjustments like creating a calm bedtime routine, keeping the room cool and dark, and avoiding caffeine in the afternoon can make a significant difference in improving sleep quality. Ignoring the importance of sleep is a hidden daily habit that slowly erodes health. It robs the body of its chance to repair, elevates stress hormones, disrupts circulation, encourages weight gain, and leaves tissues like the prostate vulnerable to long-term decline. Choosing to prioritize restful sleep is not just about feeling refreshed in the morning. It is about giving the body the time and conditions it needs to heal and maintain balance. One of the most underestimated habits affecting men over 60 is prolonged sitting. Modern life makes it easy to spend hours in a chair, whether reading, watching television, working on a computer, or simply resting. While sitting may feel harmless, remaining in that position for extended periods places continuous pressure on the pelvic region. Over time, this pressure restricts circulation, creates stiffness, and adds unnecessary strain on organs in the lower body, including the prostate. Unlike walking or standing, which allow blood to flow freely, sitting compresses blood vessels and slows circulation, gradually creating conditions that work against long-term prostate health. The body is designed for movement, and circulation relies on that movement to function properly. When someone sits for hours without standing or stretching, blood flow to the pelvis and legs slows down significantly. This sluggish flow means the prostate receives fewer nutrients and less oxygen, both of which are essential for tissue maintenance. The reduced movement also prevents waste products from being carried away efficiently, which can irritate tissues over time. Just as stagnant water tends to collect impurities, stagnant circulation in the pelvic region increases the risk of irritation and discomfort. Another issue caused by prolonged sitting is the buildup of mechanical pressure. The pelvis and surrounding muscles bear the body's weight during sitting, and this constant downward force can compress the region where the prostate is located. Day after day, year after year, this repeated pressure becomes a subtle but continuous stressor. Unlike occasional sitting, which the body can recover from, long daily sessions without breaks create a chronic environment of restricted blood flow and physical stress. This is why experts often call sitting the new smoking, because its effects accumulate silently until they lead to noticeable problems. Extended sitting also weakens the muscles that support circulation and pelvic health. When a person walks, the leg muscles act as pumps that push blood back to the heart. This pumping action benefits not only the legs but also the pelvic organs. Without regular movement, these muscles lose their strength and blood flow becomes less efficient. Weak muscles also lead to poor posture, which further compresses the pelvic region and spine. Poor posture adds to circulation problems, creating a cycle where sitting leads to weakness. Weakness leads to more discomfort, and the prostate continues to face unnecessary stress. Weight gain is another indirect consequence of prolonged sitting. Sedentary habits reduce calorie burning, making it easier for extra pounds to accumulate. Abdominal weight, in particular, increases pressure on the pelvic floor and surrounding organs. This combination of external weight, pressing down, and internal weakness from lack of activity creates an environment where the prostate is forced to function under constant strain. Even moderate weight gain can worsen the effects of long sitting hours, magnifying the risks to prostate health. Prolonged sitting also impacts flexibility and mobility in the hips and lower back. Tight hip flexors, stiff hamstrings, and reduced spinal mobility are all common in people who sit too much. These physical changes may not only limit comfort, but also alter the way circulation flows to the lower body. Restricted movement in these areas can further contribute to pelvic congestion, which is harmful over the long term. Restoring flexibility through stretching or light exercise helps relieve some of this congestion, but when movement is consistently ignored, stiffness becomes the default state, and circulation continues to suffer. The good news is that the negative effects of sitting can often be countered with simple adjustments. Standing up every 30 to 45 minutes, walking around the room, or even performing light stretches can reactivate circulation and relieve pelvic pressure. Many people also find that using supportive cushions or ergonomic chairs helps reduce direct compression. These small actions, when practiced consistently, transform sitting from a harmful daily habit into a more manageable part of life. What matters most is breaking the cycle of hours, long inactivity, and giving the body regular chances to reset circulation. The act of sitting may seem harmless, but when it dominates the day, its impact on circulation, posture, muscle strength, and pelvic pressure becomes unavoidable. Men who spend large portions of their day seated unknowingly add to the stress their prostate experiences. By being mindful of how long they sit, by incorporating regular breaks, and by keeping the body active, they can greatly reduce this hidden risk and protect their long-term health. One of the most common yet overlooked mistakes men make after the age of 60 is avoiding regular medical checkups. Many feel that as long as they are not experiencing obvious discomfort, there is no need to visit a doctor. Others may feel hesitant due to fear, pride, or simply the desire to avoid medical settings. However, this approach can be dangerous because many health concerns, including those affecting the prostate, develop silently over time. Early detection is often the key to successful management, and regular checkups provide that opportunity before problems progress into more complicated stages. The prostate is an organ that tends to change with age, and not all changes bring immediate symptoms. In fact, many men who experience prostate issues later in life often report that they felt fine until the condition had advanced significantly. This is why routine screenings are so important. Doctors use these visits to check for early warning signs that may not yet be noticeable, giving men a chance to make lifestyle adjustments or begin treatment at a stage where it is far more effective. Ignoring this step allows silent issues to grow unchecked, creating greater challenges later. Another benefit of regular checkups is the ability to establish a baseline for health. When a man visits his doctor consistently, there is a record of his prostate's condition over time. This makes it easier to identify subtle changes that might otherwise be missed. For example, a small shift in urinary patterns, a minor change in blood work, or a slight alteration in the size of the prostate may not seem alarming in isolation, but when compared with previous records, they can reveal important trends. Without these regular points of reference, both the patient and the doctor are left with limited information. Regular medical visits also provide men with professional guidance on maintaining a healthy prostate. While general advice such as staying active, eating well, and drinking enough water is valuable, doctors can give personalized recommendations based on individual health history. Men with family history of prostate issues, for example, may need to be more vigilant, while others might require specific lifestyle modifications to support their long-term health. These tailored insights are only available when men maintain consistent communication with healthcare professionals. Fear is often a major reason why men avoid checkups, especially when it comes to prostate health. The thought of receiving bad news can feel overwhelming. However, avoiding the doctor does not prevent a condition from developing, it only delays action. Early detection often means simpler, less invasive treatment and a higher chance of maintaining quality of life. On the other hand, discovering an issue too late usually results in more complicated interventions and more stress on both the body and mind. Facing the possibility of bad news early is far less damaging than dealing with advanced problems later. Another factor to consider is that regular checkups encourage accountability. When men know they will be seeing a doctor, they are often more likely to take care of their health on a daily basis. They may be more mindful of diet, exercise, and hydration, because they know these habits will influence their results. In this way, medical visits serve not only as a tool for detection, but also as motivation to maintain healthier routines. This accountability can be the difference between slowly drifting into unhealthy patterns and staying committed to long-term wellness. Many modern medical practices also use advanced technologies that make screenings quicker, easier, and more accurate than in the past. Simple blood tests, imaging, and non-invasive exams can provide valuable insights without causing significant discomfort. Unfortunately, men who avoid doctors miss out on these advancements and continue relying on guesswork about their health. With each skipped appointment, they allow uncertainty to replace clarity, and that uncertainty increases risk. Avoiding regular checkups is a habit rooted in neglect, fear, or false confidence, but its consequences can be severe. By the time noticeable symptoms appear, the condition affecting the prostate may already be advanced. Choosing to schedule consistent visits is not just about detecting problems, but about preserving independence, energy, and peace of mind in later years. Health is not something to gamble with, and regular screenings are a simple yet powerful way to safeguard the prostate and the body as a whole.